It is a more than miserable wind that is blowing across the village of Nain, but not near enough to deter the community from coming out in the wee hours to welcome the racers into town. Even with temperatures pushing -50 with the wind, it was a warm welcome for Teams 00 and 38 as they pull in off the sea ice through gusting snow to arrive first and second into the harbor front checkpoint. This is a community proud to be involved with Cain's Quest. As if riding over 2,000 kilometers wasn't enough, after checking in, the racers will be shuttled by sled over to the hotel where they will enjoy at least an 8-hour layover and maybe more depending on what they may have taken along the way at the previous communities from Postville on. Checking in at 7:56 a.m., local boys, Team 59, stuck to their plan for arriving in Nain.
I don't have a clue what it looks like, man. I never looked in a mirror for days, so I might have boogers or sleepy. Might have even bald spots.
How was your night last night?
It was a good night. We got to Natwashish and wanted to have a daylight showing here, so we stayed in Natwashish a couple hours. Took a couple hours off our time.
That big lump in my throat when I saw everybody there. Wasn't expecting that. It was freezing out and it was early, blowing the gale. But there was hundreds of people there. Couldn't believe it. First started the race, it was just about winning the race. But now it's became more than that. It's about the town more than anything now.
I got something on my chin. I don't know what it is. My balaclava's been soaking wet for so long. It's like that. Is it?
Given all the issues with weather impacting the pace and progress and the worst still yet to come, some tough decisions had to be made by organizers which would make major changes to this year's race.
We never like to be fooling with the route of the race, but this year we couldn't get our checkpoint crew into that remote checkpoint in Crystal Lake. They spent 4 or 5 days there in a raging storm. It was still a long race, still a hard race. It didn't take much in terms of that away from, but because the distance, I don't think it affected distance much because they had to come down the south coast again, of course, but then he had a dog leg from Goose over to Churchill. So I think it's still going to be, I don't think it took much in terms of endurance away from it. And let's face it, these guys have been out there a long time. They probably did more snowmobiling in the past week than most people do in a winter or two.
The new route for racers would eliminate the inland route into Crystal Lake and instead have the teams double back to the north coast to Hopedale and then to Postville and on to Goose Bay again for an 8-hour layover. From there, they would go to Churchill Falls for a checkpoint, then onto a checkpoint at Esker, and then it's the final run to the finish line back in Labrador City. Given all the preparation in advance, the news of a new route would have an impact on the teams, and there was no shortage of opinion.
When we got up to the sea ice in Postville, it was a big relief for me that I wouldn't have to go back through it. But then I find out I got to go back anyway. Deal with it when it comes, I guess.
Interesting. We're all prepared to go inland, but we'll take it as it comes. I mean, I guess everyone will be obviously just familiar with what's coming up now, all the way back. So it should be an interesting finish for sure. But I would think most guys will just drive to survive to get that Goose Bay. But after that, it's game on.
Remember when Team 38 rolled into Postville way out in front of everyone, even surprising themselves? Well, it was in Nain that the mystery was solved and unveiled using the yellow brick tracking technology. Checking the computer, it is clear that Team 38 used the groomed trail to their advantage, which cost others their lead. Ultimately, a penalty was calculated and a new leaderboard would be established, leaving Nain.
Everybody that was up here went on down this lake, and they actually stayed at this green spot right here, which is a chalet. This red is the known groom trail. Each one of those pings is on that trail as a breadcrumb trace, okay? What we did then is we said, okay, using the GPS coordinates from Yellow Brick, where were they? They were here. Their next known coordinate was here, and that is, if we zoom right on in that trail there, just have a quick look, it's fairly close, and we can start passing along the trail to see how things fare out. There, we got them again here. We got them there. Here, the penalty was issued by compiling all those small increments of time, taking away the benefit they made on the trail, plus giving a penalty for running the trail,
Right.
and the time difference that was made or lost by the other teams who were already in the lead. So it calculated out to be about an 8-hour penalty.